announced that tanks and heavy artillery were used in the maneuvers. A Venezuelan oil refinery burned for 3 days. The maiden handicap at Greyville highlighted the American filly Atlantic flag at Kyalami, where over 100,000 motor racing enthusiasts saw the victory garland placed around his neck.
Springbok Radio. If it's happening now, we'll tell you about it.
Mrs. Greaves, go ahead with your message.
Hi, Glennie. There's a surprise for you in the kitchen. Happy birthday.
Springbok Radio, because something nice happens every day.
Bare briewe en kerskaarte wat ons bereik het.
En ons waardeer dit veral dat die personeel hier op kantoor wat so getrou resepte uitstuur, nie vergeet het nie.
Hulle wens u ook seën met die Kerstyd toe. Hierdie mooi gebaar van luisteraarskant spreek van liefde. En dis mos waaroor Kersfees gaan, nie waar nie.
Ja, nie die materiële dinge nie, maar naaste liefde, buurskap en goeie gesindheid.
Maar onthou, dis nie die soort liefde wat verwag om rente te trek nie, om het so uit te druk. Dit moet 'n onbaatsigtige liefde wees wat niks terugverwag nie.
Net so, en dis wat ons van die Somaak-wensluisteraars ontvang.
We regard it as a privilege to have been associated with our wonderful and friendly Somaak-mens listeners for more than 27 years, almost 3 decades. I loved Somaak-mens, all the other programs, all the serials, and I really loved Springbok Radio.
Springbok Radio, and of course Somaak-mens, has been a way of life for many people in this country. Often people have said to us, even when we had to move from one town to another, we never felt lonely because Esme and Jan and Somaak-mens went with us. It's been such a wonderfully friendly program. We made so many friends amongst all nationalities in this country. And I think Somaak-mens, well, it's what broadcasting is all about. It's communication. People talking to people.
Somaak-mens. Goeiemôre van Esme Everard en Jan Cronje en welkom by nog 'n aflewering van Somaak-mens.
Ja, hier is die 2 radiovriende weer met 'n geselsie, musiek, inligting, so nou en dan 'n resep en sommer van alles en nog wat.
En nou 'n breiwenk van mevrou Rina Moody van Jamestown. Somaak-mens om 'n netjiese knoopsgat te brei.
Heg 2 ekstra steke op. En by elke hoek brei jy 2 steke tesame. Dit maak die knoopsgat sterker.
Hier volgens adres in geval jy lus het om 'n beproefde wenk by te dra of sommer net om kennis te maak.
Skryf aan Esme en Jan, Somaak-mens, bus 1166 Johannesburg 2000.
Action. Close the door. And it is. Yeah. We've been delayed because my cameraman was sick and I had to buy, hook back, found another one. So we that's pushing it, that makes it full.
I have to get my girlfriend another key out of the car.
Action.
You wanted to know about No Place to Hide? Yes, quite a serial actually, quite a serial. I just got back to Johannesburg. I hadn't done any radio acting for 19 years, and I was a new voice in town, you see, and they wanted new voices, and I became Mark Saxon, Mark 1. And I must say, it was a very fascinating serial. I mean, I used to take my bulldog for a walk before dinner, and I'd hear the signature tune of No Place to Hide coming out a very flat in Hillbrow as I walked around there. And it was the start, I suppose, of what I might call my public involvement, because I was invited to open baby shows and school fetes and things like that, and I'll never forget the horrified look on the faces of mothers when I picked up their babies. I had no children of my own at the time, picked up their babies and held them rather like a cocktail shaker. But it was quite a serial, and the cast, you see, was very strong. There was Val Phillip. She played Karen Piers, and that very strong love interest. And I used to get indignant letters. Every time I appear to be nasty to Karen, I get a shoal of indignant letters. Don't you be nasty to Karen Piers! And we had Stuart Brown, and we had dear old Bruce Anderson, and there was Adrian Steed, and goodness knows who else in this. It's a very strong cast.
Both of the Celtic shows. Well, the English one was the only one I was responsible as a writer and a director, although I was ultimately responsible for both, because I worked for the agency that handled the petrol account that sponsored both these shows. As far as the English one's concerned, the Celtic show ran for, let's see, 579 scripts, which I wrote, which, as I understand it, is still a record for this country. 579 shows, that is, written by one man and done in front of an audience. It was very enjoyable, of course. We had a tremendous amount of fun with it. The Afrikaans show is entirely produced and written by Pete Pompey's, so he must take credit for that one.
Well, I was actually doing stage work at the time, and I did a few shows with Pete van der Bijl, Pete Pompey's. And one night he said to me he was writing the show, and one of the fellows in the show was leaving. It was Gabriel Bayman, and would I come onto the show? So I said all right, and that's how I got into it. And then a few months later, Ken asked me to come onto the English Celtic show, and I was on both. And I was on for the last 7 or 8 years. I think it was 8 years. That's how I became involved.
And your character?
Well, he used to talk about this one fellow, Johnny Peters, Gabe. His girlfriend used to tease him about this chap. And this fellow's name was Johnny Peters. And when Gabe left, obviously Johnny Peters was introduced, and that's how he got his name. Because I did the character under a different name for many years. And that's how it started.
What was the public reaction to the character?
Well, the public reaction was very good on stage before I went on the radio, and it just carried on from there.
Well, Cape Coloured characters, of course, always well loved down here and there.
Yes, they is very well loved. I think they is loved anyway.
Did you got a license?
Did you got a license? You mean, how was the phrase born? Well, I was writing a script, one of the Celtic scripts one evening in my den, and the theme was they were trying to break the delayed parachute jump record, you see, which at that time was 14 or 15,000 feet. And Jeffrey Staymaker was supposed to do the jump, funked it at the last minute, and put Terence, the pump boy, up in the plane with altimeters on each wrist and all sorts of clocks and gadgets. And up he went in the plane. He was told to jump out at 20,000 feet.
That's Springbok Radio closing down. Charles, like, I'm very sad. It's a very sad business. It reminds me of my next door neighbour, you know, Obas Plaitjes, when he was on his deathbed and his wife was there. And the doctor was there, and his wife was pleading with the doctor, save him, doctor, save him. The doctor says, it's not in my hands. And he feel his pulse, and he say, no, he's not with us anymore, he's gone. And Obas Plaitjes open one eye, say, I'm not gone, I'm still here. His wife tell him, yo, Joe, back Jay, the doctor will beat us, Jay. That's how it happened. Same. Anyhow, it's the same thing about Springbok Radio closing down, you know.
I think the program I enjoyed most in Springbok was a show called Call Back the Past, which dealt with year by year the events and the music and the background to history. It ran for about 17 years in Springbok. I think that's what I enjoyed doing most. Check Your Mate was another show I enjoyed very much indeed. That was I liked it because you came into contact with people and the humour came from people rather than scripted humour. And that was a show which ran for some 13 years. and provided a great deal of laughter, I hope, and pathos to listeners.
Did you feel that Springbok Radio, as a station, reached out to many, many people?
I think that the listenership figures will tell you that it was, of course, in its heyday, reaching out to more people than any other medium. And until the advent of television in 1976, which, of course, I think spelled the death knell of Springbok Radio. And I think that most of us realized that that was going to happen when television arrived, that it would replace Springbok. Because Springbok, in essence, was television, or a replacement for television. And when television arrived, I think we all expected that very soon Springbok Radio would die. I'm amazed, in fact, that we had breathing space for some 10 years.
What's going to happen to the Springbok Radio people?
You know, I think a lot of them have already adapted and have gone into television. Many of them are in television. Brian O'Shaughnessy, Gordon Mulholland. Many of the familiar faces today on television have graduated from radio. There are quite a few people, I guess, who specialize in radio and have been unable to adapt. I feel sorry for them. But I think that most of us realized already early that you can't specialize in this country. And I think that most of us have learnt to read the news, to do request programs, to perform on stage, because you have to cast your net as wide as possible. And I think that most people will adapt and survive.
My career in radio started in 1955 in Johannesburg, and I moved down to Durban virtually for a month. I was coming for a month, and then I was going back to Joburg, and that's over 30 years ago, and here I still am.
Tell me about being a one-man band. I mean, who works for you?
Well, my studio is as you say, a one-man band, and all our radio productions that we've been involved in, the hour plays and the half-hour plays, I've handled all of those, the production and the technical side. But when it comes to serials, where we record 5 episodes in one morning, then I employ an outside producer, because it's too much work for me to watch the actors and do all my technical side. So I have to have somebody who can look after the timing and the production of the actors.
Can you give me some highlights for you?
You know, the highlights in my career is virtually every day, because something new happens and it's something different every day in my business.
Well, this new setup calls itself Radio South Africa. I wonder if that's what it's going to be. I must say that at the moment it seems to me to be becoming more like a radio version of WKRP in Cincinnati every day. That's a group of people, a small group of people, just going along from week to week and hoping that things will come right. But is it going to come right? It all depends on what their objectives are. Oh, by the way, with Loney Anderson they might have a chance. But without Loney, I don't know. It all depends, you see. If they're going to make it an English program with commercials, then I should think their chance of making it a viable proposition is absolutely nil. I've been doing a program recently called The Golden Years of Springbok Radio. I was commissioned to do 4 programs, compile them and produce them for Springbok Radio to round things off. And I came across some rather startling facts. Durban independent production houses alone have produced 21,000 individual shows for Springbok Radio. Now, that's only a small proportion of what has been put into radio by the production houses over these 30-odd years. It must be something like 100,000 shows. Now, can the SABC afford to say, right, we can dispense with all that professional know-how, we can dispense with this expertise? They can't if they are trying to make a viable proposition out of Radio South Africa. It simply is not on. An English program with commercials, I'm quite sure, will be of no appeal whatsoever to advertisers.
I loved doing radio theatre. You know, I'd done so much live theatre, but broadcasting as well meant a big thing in my life. And we did one show after the other, and I was very thrilled about them. We did things like Tale of Two Cities and all sorts of things like Black Chiffon and so on. And then I got a call from Johannesburg asking me whether I would like to come up there and produce the 1000th performance of Lux Radio Theatre. Well, I was flattered and very pleased they thought of me, and we did. We went up there, and we chose a comedy, and the cast, it was suggested to me by Peter Tureen that I use the English company that had come out to do...
Oscar Wilde's Ideal Husband.
Yes, Oscar Wilde's Ideal Husband. But I had already done that on the air, so I asked them to come along and do this. There was Richard Todd in it, and other well-known names I can't just recall at the moment. But it really was quite an occasion.
Harold, can you tell me about involvement? Do people get involved?
I think they do. Certainly the actors get involved. When you're in a serial like I was for 8 years, I think, from Crystal with Love, playing the hero, it becomes part of your life. And eventually, the writer killed me off with a massive heart attack, which was rather sad for me because being part of your life, you know, after my day's work, we used to go down to the studio and record these episodes. And I gathered from various sources that there was quite a deal of lamentation about this hero being killed off. You just don't do that to heroes.
Action.
Lost baby! Anybody lost a baby? Come along now, sir. Get your lost baby here. What about you, sir? And I guess right, too, didn't I?
What are you going to do now, Harry? Are you going to make him put it back?
Not likely. I'm going to make sure I get half the reward. Lost baby! Anybody lost a baby?
I don't want any more of this stuff. Why's enough?
And that was The Baby Snatchers, written by Judy Crawford, with Tommy Reed and Jewel Fenson as the loaders, Mike Westcott and Billy Mariani as the Duffs, Frank Graham as Percy, Tom Meehan as the vicar, and Maureen Adair as the baby. And today's show ends an era of comedy on Springbok Radio, an era during which some 3,000 shows were performed for your pleasure by Durban's talented band of comedy actors and actresses. They join me in saying goodbye and hope that your memories of these shows will remain as happy as theirs.
Cooey, Phyllis!
Cooey, Percy? Only me?
Oh, goody!
Hello, Percy. Percy!
Hey?
What are you doing with that?
Hello, Phyllis!
Oh, sorry, Percy, I forgot. Hello, Percy.
Hello, Phyllis!
Hello, Percy. What are you doing?
Oh, don't spoil it, Phyllis. There's no one here to stop us. We could go on saying hello to each other all day. I just love saying hello.
That's all. Tell me what you've got next again. Then we can go on saying hello.
It's a baby, of course. That's what prams are for.
But Percy, you never told me you were going to have a baby.
It's not. Phyllis is not mine, silly you. How do you think I could have a baby?
Okay, it's rolling.
Hello, Phyllis.
Hello, Mr. Green.
No, it's nice to be here.
Leslie, I remember having tea with you when I used to come back from school and have a cup of tea and listen to Leslie Green. You did those programs, if I'm not mistaken, from your home, and you had an effects microphone outside.
I did some from my home. Yes, when I started, and I was still on the staff of Springbok Radio, and I did them all from the studio. Then I went freelancing, that was in 57, and I set up in my home, little studio of my own. And one day I was recording tea with Mr. G because I have to do 3 recorded and the rest would be in the studio. And I'd left a window open and the bird was twittering outside and the microphone picked it up and somebody noticed it and I thought that's a good idea. And so what I did was to pick up a microphone outside, and always when I recorded tea with Mr. G I used to have a microphone on outside and the birds did their stuff. I never had to fake it. I did sometimes, well I did frequently when I knew I was going to record, I'd spread about some bird seed and raisins and things like that just to encourage the birds to come. But I lived in the part of town where we had lots of birds.
Luister Antjie, hoe lank doen jy toe nou hierdie Women's Forum?
Danie, dis nou 10 jaar.
10 jaar?
Ja.
Op die kop plus
Op die
paar
kop,
maande.
op die kop.
Sê vir my, kan jy vir my vinnig so een of ander van die name, persone, interessante persone vir my net vertel of beskryf wat jy op jou program gehad het?
Danie, dis mense uit die skrywerswêreld en uit die balletwêreld, uit die kunswêreld.
Iemand wat 'n groot mylpaal bereik het, miskien interessante dame.
Suid-Afrikaans dink ek aan Dr. Rina.
O ja.
En ag Danie, ek kan nog duisende.
Ja, mense, dit is 'n moeilike vraag. Jy weet, ons het saam groot geword, kan ek maar sê, in Durban se dae. Onthou jy dit? Ooh, daar was dan vir jou 'n lekker klompie geweest, nee. Toe ons almal deelgeneem het aan al die radioprogramme in Durban en nou ja, hier sit ons alweer 'n paar 100 jaar later. Annemarie, wat is jou planne vir die toekoms?
Danie, ek gaan vryskut. Ek wil net aan die SAIK sê baie dankie vir al die geleenthede en aan Springbok Radio. Ek sal die mense nooit vergeet nie. Pietie Lockred, Leslie Kenzie, Timothy Bangi. Ek sal hulle nooit vergeet.
Ja, hulle is nou almal 'n klomp jong mannetjies wat nou onlangs eers begin het, jy weet. Maar ons oues is nou ja, Annemarie, baie hartlik dank vir.
Well, the lady very much responsible for that was Joy Anderson. Joy was also in charge of In Town Tonight, weren't you, Joy?
Yes, Colin, for
Hello.
26 years.
So nice to see you.
Well, it's good to be here too, and with so many friends. It's really a wonderful occasion.
And so many memories. We're really taking a trip down memory lane today.
We
aren't
are indeed.
What are some of those memories for you?
Well, I suppose those 26 years of In Town Tonight, which became Tonight later on, and then Top Level, and then working on Deadline Thursday night with Brian Chilvers, and then I think perhaps I must say, and I've got the man right next to me, Dr. Barrett.
People, or you're behind a microphone, dispensing with some wonderful, wonderful ideas and suggestions. And we've got your theme playing under now. If you'd like to put your headphones on and listen to it, it'll bring back some memories for you too. Reg, you've helped, I think, millions of people with the thoughts and ideas that you have put across on Springbok Radio. And the response, no doubt, has also been very, very favourable and very big too. How have your listeners responded to your programmes?
Colin, when we first started, and with this programme was 6.5 years ago, and it was Joy's idea with Timothy Bungie, I never believed that we would be able to cope with this more than for 6 months. And yet here we are after 6.5 years, and it's just...
But that was because of a telegram from Michael McCabe, who said that a job was going here in Springbok Radio.
And you believed him?
And I believed him, believe it or not. And I flew all the way down to audition for it. Mr. Henry Howell was kind enough to see me. I didn't realize there were quite a few other people who were also auditioning for the same job. But fortunately I got it. And my first assignment was to go to the Etosha Pan and record wildlife sounds. It was quite an assignment.
I can believe you.
Yes.
Would you like to do that in the present conditions, circumstances?
Well, I'd love to. I'd love to. I mean, being chased up a tree by every conceivable wild animal, wild beast.
Your wife?
I must tell you about the very first safari I went on. It was an elephant, being reported by some tourists who was limping. It took us 2 days to find him. We found him, and he had a poacher's bullet in his leg. So we darted him with N99, which was a depressant. If you ever see an elephant fall, it's quite something. The ground goes rum, 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 rum. And we operated on the leg, took the bullet out, we put some penicillin in it, tied a bandage around it, and then gave it the antidote, and it got up, and it trundled off into the bush again, quite happily.
But the quiz kids were such release and such relief. It was lovely to sort of be exposed to the public and so on. And and Johnny Walker, who was my friend and helper in that program, and Johnny was a great chap to work with, and it's one of the loveliest memories I have.
After the quiz kids, you went into management and you became head of Springbok Radio. Those must have been very, very exciting days for you.
Yes, it wasn't quite that, but yes, you see, I had been head of English service, and I don't know whether I'm going to be saying this to the same audience, but I arrived in Springbok Radio on my first day with a broken heart, and I was met by a chap I knew very well, but not intimately, called Jack Siebert. As I walked into the office, he took me by the hand and he said, "We want you. We're glad to have you, and we want you to be happy with us." And I jolly well was. I had ecstatic years. My dear friends on the advertising services, they were a marvellous bunch, and a first-rate lot of people. It was a great honour to be part of them.
You've seen radio change over the years.
Okay, Alan, tell me when you're ready. What do I do? I'll give you a question. Okay. Springbok Radio, what did it mean to you? An incredible enrichment. I'll never forget it. It's a family station. Memories are made of this. 10 years of absolute heaven. I shall never forget them. Did you love your listeners? I love them incredibly. They gave me incredible support and love, and letters and phone calls, and people I made friends with over the 10 years. Leave it, and it's something I'll never forget.
I want memories of Springbok Radio.
Memories of Springbok go back for me a very long time, and they've all been marvellous. I think perhaps No Place to Hide, which was a very long-running series, and in which I played most of the villains in immense number of accents: Bulgarian, French, Greek, Chinese, German, North Mongolian, South Mongolian, which was slightly different. I must have been murdered and knifed and garroted and chopped in an infinite number of ways. So if I wanted to turn murderer now, I think No Place to Hide would have taught me how to do it. Other memories of Springbok, I've got so many. I've been in so many programs over so many years. I suppose Inspector Carr is the best known, from my point of view. And in fact, I think over the 29 years, I didn't fail to solve a mystery once a week. And there are even youngsters today who I meet in the street or in the supermarket who say, "Oh gosh, aren't you Inspector Carr? I recognise the voice. I used to listen to you when I was 7, 8, 9, 10, and I think I must be getting old." As far as I'm concerned, I don't feel old. I'm very sorry to see Springbok go. It's given me such pleasure. It's helped me to make so many friends, not only staff friends and friends as writers, producers, fellow actors, but friends of the public.
Totsiens, en die laaste keer wat ek totsiens gesê het was uit die ou gebou, die Commissionerstraat gebou van die SAIK, was ek die laaste stem wat afgesluit het daar 6:00 die oggend, en die volgende uitsending was in die nuwe gebou hier in Auckland Park. En vir die laaste keer is ek een van die stemme wat sê, totsiens my geliefdes, baie hartlik dank vir geskiedenis.
There are hundreds of people in the studio, and I want to say thank you very much for what Springbok Radio has done for me. It is coming up for 27 minutes past 6. No, I
This is it. The last seconds of the station that was born 35 years ago, which began life as a revenue earner, quickly became a household friend, and maintained both those attributes from beginning to end. Dit was nie moontlik om binne 'n paar ure al die stemme en herinneringe van Springbok Radio vanaf 1950 tot 1985 in te pas nie. Dit is ook jammer dat so baie van die klanke van Springbok Radio vir altyd verlore is, omdat uitsaaibande herbenut word. Maar ons hoop dat u uit die bande wat welbehoue gebly het, en deur die stemme wat elk hulle verhaal vertel het, sommige aangename herinneringe van Springbok kon herleef. We've been overwhelmed by the emotions, expressions of warmth, friendship and companionship, which have been expressed by both listeners and announcers during these last transmissions. We pray that our new successor stations build the same togetherness with their audiences that we've been grateful to have received. On behalf of the tremendous team who over the years have contributed to and made Springbok Radio, I say to you, wherever you may be listening, a most sincere thank you for your loyalty and your support. The station, which on the 1st of May 1950 said, "Good morning, South Africa. This is Springbok Radio," now says, "Good night, South Africa." This was Springbok Radio.
That's it, everybody.
Open the light now. That one too. So let me lock it. Are you rolling?
Not yet.
You close the door. Close the door. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. We're going to close these two lights first.
Thank you. All right. But all the young chaps will be coming. I was in program acceptance here, and I just thought our standard was going down. That's it. And the other job is coming out. I went to program acceptance, and I was in fact down within a week or 2 weeks.
Developed quite many have risen to senior administrative positions within the SABC. Others have spread their wings and moved to private jobs. A number of their production studios still provide.
Hallo, meneer McKenzie. How's it going? Baie welkom. Hallo, meneer That's right, but then you won't get them all on one page. Hallo meneer Graham. Dis my wêreld. Vir die laaste keer ek en jy. Baie welkom. Hoeveel jaar? 32 jaar. Ja. Ach, is leuk om jullie te ondersteunen. Oelaas, Darling, iets is samenkomst. Wat kan je eigenlijk doen? Natuurlijk. Ja, absoluut. Michael, naar binnen. Right. Uiteindelijk. Dat is de laatste dag. Willie, dit is die laatste dag. Ja, dat is een nieuwe dag voor. En dat is wat ik vraag. Die luisteraars die buiten wil oordra. Dat is niet de einde niet. Right. Dankjewel. Kom. My goodness gracious. Okay, Michael. Nice to see you. Nice to have you with us. Please, thank you. I'm well, and you?
No, I'm fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a long association. Yes, it has been. Way back to broadcast us.
Way back to broadcast.
Yes, indeed. Welcome. It's the end of one era, it's the beginning of another.
The door closes, the window opens on in about 20 minutes.
20 minutes, I will make sure that I'm there.
Okay, you don't mind. Okay, what's up?
Jack, met ons staan op hier. Ja, ons got vrouwen vandaag in Springbok Radio. I'm well, and you?
Yeah, what do you do? You tired now?
No way, no way. There's too much of kicking. No, we must look forward to it. Oh, nice to have you with us. My goodness gracious. Goes back a long, long time. 32 years. 32 years ago. 32 years, 7 months and 3 weeks. Elise.
Thank you, sir.
Elise.
Well, indeed. Very good to see you again. Very good.
Hy sit R1000 op 'n perd.
By baie van ons luisteraars het hy 'n besondere plekkie beklee. En as 'n huldeblyk aan hom, wil ons vanoggend...
Nou ja, hier sit hy. Daniel Retief Niehaus, gebore 19 voet sek, Kafferskraal.
Maar dan...
Jy hoef nie bang. Dit is toe jy daar begin.
Ja, dit was wel daar in die klein kerkie, in die ou gebou, jy weet?
Ja.
Maar die dominees altyd hulle preke vanaf geleer.
And the last one. 8, sorry, 2 more.
Ja, dat is 8 man, moet nou nie die arme mense se persente wegvat.
What have you done with the gong stick?
Meneer A. Smith of Smit, maar dis posbus 31, Waterval boven op die Hoëveld. Baie hartlik geluk, meneer Smit, of is it mevrou Smit?
Is this number 7? You should know the difference between a mevrou and a meneer. I don't know sometimes. Jackie Johnson of Mispa Boerdery, Grabouw in die Noord-Oos-Kaap.
Daar waar die lekker appels is, jong. Allah, wêreld. Is dit die laaste enetjie?
Right, Morris, I see you've got a guest with you.
Sorry, Joy, I said crossover.
That's all right, John. Dit is Pieter Oos. Ons almal is bekend hier in Durban as Potty. Dis een van Springbok Radio se bekendste Afrikaanse drama-stemme. Potty, baie hartlik welkom.
Nobody's jumping the queue anymore.
My doctor was Susanna.
Can we keep them very tight?
Van the Globe. I'm so ghastly. I'm proud of the fact we ran a talent contest which produced various radio and theatrical personalities. It's nasty. People used to meet my wife and think that she was married to someone odd and strange.
You've won many Arties Awards too for your trouble and your hard work. Two. Well, that's many, and that's 2 more than I've won anyway.
Yeah.
Michael, I'm sure we could spend many minutes talking about Springbok Radio. We don't have all that many. We have 23 now. Who have we got next? I've lost track here. Yes, we have Hugh Ross, the man who I remember as reading The World at last night. Hello, Dave.
It hits here that nobody else picked up on. And I think that is the great loss. I think the loss of another pop medium, which is my forte. is sad news in a way, because it needs the nappies, and he decided that he wanted to work on the Top 30, the Friday night program, and he came out of boarding school. Reformatory, and he said he'd like to get on.
Yes, I do. It was a statement by the then late Prime Minister J.G. Stradon about a coming republic, which was prophesiable and made good sense. Also, we had in the video.
And I want to say thank you very much for what Springbok Radio has done for me. It is coming up for 27 minutes past 6, and before we all burst into tears, and I don't think we want to do that, I think Russell is going to play some music before we introduce the head of the station, the head of Springbok Radio, to pull the big switch.
Colin, where's the commercial? Leave it right there.
Okay. I'm going to give a time check, okay? You're getting a lot of stuff. No, I didn't. Right. Tick, tick, Timex. Tick, tick, Timex. Guaranteed, inexpensive, quality watches. The time on Springbok.
This is it. The last seconds of the station that was born 35 years ago, which began life as a revenue earner, quickly became a household friend, and maintained both those attributes from beginning to end. Dit was nie moontlik om binne 'n paar ure al die stemme en herinneringe van Springbok Radio vanaf 1950 tot 1985 in te pas nie. Dit is ook jammer dat so baie van die klanke van Springbok Radio vir altyd verlore is, omdat uitsaaibande herbenut word. Maar ons hoop dat u uit die bande wat wel behoue gebly het, en deur die stemme wat elk hulle verhaal vertel het, sommige aangename herinneringe van Springbok kon herleef. We've been overwhelmed by the emotions, expressions of warmth, friendship and companionship, which have been expressed by both listeners and announcers during these last transmissions. We pray that our new successor stations build the same togetherness with their audiences that we've been grateful to have received. On behalf of the tremendous team who over the years have contributed to and made Springbok Radio, I say to you, wherever you may be listening, a most sincere thank you for your loyalty and your support. The station, which on the 1st of May 1950 said, "Good morning, South Africa. This is Springbok Radio," now says, "This was Springbok Radio."